Welcome to the Mental Insights Podcast, a conversation aimed at understanding all sides of mental health, addiction recovery, and homelessness. Each interview will include one's personal experiences and insights, or an expert's advice and knowledge within one of these fields. The goal is to promote awareness, guidance, and support for anyone who is affected by these challenges. Thank you all for listening. Welcome to the Mental Insights Podcast. This is your host, Brennan Cutuli. We are here today for Season 2, Episode number 12 with Daeyna Jackson. Daeyna hit rock bottom and found herself to be in a complete mess after mistakes within her own life. And after years of struggle, Daeyna started a podcast in 2019 called She is a Mess. Daeyna's project helps to highlight the stories of 10,000 women all over the world to inspire and inform other women. She now helps women believe in themselves and find value within their own self before showcasing their story to all. Daeyna joins the Mental Insights podcast to speak about turning your life around after a mess and how to build self-confidence when your life is in a mess. So, Daeyna, thank you for taking this time out to be with me and share your insights on the Mental Insights podcast.
Oh, I am so excited. I love to help any person I can. And being on your show gives me another chance to just share my message, help more people, and to just really make an impact on this world. So thank you so much.
It is my pleasure, Daeyna, and I'm so excited to share the work that you do and just hear more about how you've been able to transform yourself and as well how you're making such a great impact within our community today. So to really start out, I just want you to share a little bit more about what is your podcast, She is a Mess, and really target into who are you advocating for?
So my podcast is called She's a Mess, which for most people, they'll be like, oh my gosh, why is it sounding so negative? But the thing about it is that every one of us as women, as human beings, we all get into messes at times. And we all feel like we are just too far gone. We're too messed up. We're too all these different things for us to be able to change our lives and to make an impact and to have a better future. And my podcast is meeting these people where they're at. You are in the middle of your mess, and through listening to my episodes, through implementing the different tips and advice that I give you, I want to help you to turn your mess into a message and potentially a ministry in the future. So I really target any Christian woman who has gone through or is going through some really terrible circumstances right now that is leaving her feeling hopeless, feeling like she can never ever come back from it, feeling like her past, her present are just too big of a circumstance for God, for her to be able to change her life and to make things better. I want to help her to understand that she is never too messy for her to be able to change her life and turn her mess into a message that will help other people in the future.
I love hearing that, Daeyna, and it truly sounds that you have, this passion to help people to really lead through any challenge that might face within their life. And you know, given much within these industries of helping, whether it's sharing stories, whether it's podcasting, X, Y, and Z, really there has to be some kind of inspiration behind it. And I want to know through your own circumstances in life, what really inspired you to advocate for women and help share their own stories?
What inspired me is an incredibly long story where I basically went through a divorce at a very young age. And that divorce led me off the deep end, and I made tons of mistakes. I was suicidal. I just did all these horrific things. And I felt at my lowest point that my life was over. I felt like I could never come back from it. I felt like God would just turn his back completely on me and be like, you know what? I can't do this with you anymore. And at the bottom of my pit, at my lowest point, God was able to transform my life and to bring people into my life that helped me to get to where I am today. And because of those people, because of those experiences, I am a firm believer that anyone can change, that restoration for anyone is possible, that nobody, no matter what you have done, and I mean no matter what you have done, you can come back from it. You can never ever be too far gone for God to change your life. And I truly believe that. And that is why I am so passionate about helping people change their lives, because I know that it is possible. I am a living proof that it is possible.
Wonderfully said, Daeyna. And it really shows too how, even when you're facing a struggle, any type of challenge, that there is hope, there is, the opportunity to create that change and move forward. And I think that's definitely a huge part of what you're providing people is, this outlet to see that if you're at your rock bottom, it's okay. And there still is opportunity to make that next step forward. For yourself and how you're able to lead other women to take this next step, what were some steps for yourself that really helped make an impactful change within your life, and maybe some of the audience or some of the people that you help?
Well, the first thing I had to do was to remove myself from the situation that was causing me to really go off the deep end. When I decided that I wanted to change my life, I knew that some way, somehow, I had to get away from the situation I was in. So what I did was, you might not be as extreme as I was, but I moved halfway across the world because I needed to create distance from the thing that was causing me to do all of these bad things, that was really inspiring me to do all of these bad things. And for many of us, we get caught up in drugs, we get caught up in alcohol and stripping, whatever it is, and we believe that we can change our lives while being in those same circumstances, and that's not true. The first thing you need to do is to remove yourself from the thing that is causing you to fall. So if it is that you are addicted to drugs, you cannot stay in that same environment and expect to get better. You have to get out. And I say it to say that it's not something that is easy. It's not something that is like instant. But if you kind of reach out to someone, get some help, find a way to remove yourself from where you are right now, that is the first step to changing your life. The second thing I did was to find a mentor, find somebody who was where I wanted to be, and have them hold me accountable for my actions. When we try to do things on our own, it doesn't always work because there is no support. We're just trying to do things in our own power. And even in the Bible, God speaks about us having someone there for us, a comforter, a mentor, a guide to help us to get from where we are right now to where we need to be. You cannot lead yourself out of the pit. You cannot lead yourself out of a valley. You need to have somebody there who is accountable to you and you're accountable to them to help you, to guide you, to give you advice, to give you instructions, to hug you, to pray with you, to talk to when you feel like you're about to go back into what you were coming out of. To just help you to get one foot in front of the other when you can't do it yourself. You need somebody to help to carry you through this, because doing it by yourself will not work, which is why many people have rehab assistants, they have AA, they have all the support groups, these sponsored, because you need somebody there with you. And one of the biggest things I ever did to change my life was to give my life back to God. And I'm not sure if this is a religious podcast or not, but I believe that when you surrender yourself to God, when you give Him complete and total control of your life, He does wonderful things. And when I was at my very bottom, I decided, you know what, God, I'm going to give you everything. I'm going to give you all of my flaws. I'm going to give you my insecurities. I'm going to give you my doubts. I'm going to give you my fears. And I'm asking you to help me through it, because in my own power, I will fail. By myself, I will not make it. But if I can surrender it all to you and ask you to guide me, I can get through this. And when I surrendered everything to God, He sent people into my life to pray with me, to encourage me, to help me out of my situation. When I couldn't find anyone to talk to, He brought people into my life that directed me to a church, that helped me to get involved with a group of women and become a part of a women's ministry. He did all these different things, but they did not happen until I surrendered and I stopped trying to do everything in my own strength and gave it all to Him.
I love how you spoke about those 2 points being surrender and community. One, surrendering to yourself, and as well having that community, having that social environment in order to help lift not only yourself up, but each other. And I want you to kind of take this time to speak about your community that you're creating with many of these women that you're really helping lift up as well as help share their message. So, why don't you speak more about the community that you are creating with your podcast?
So, what I'm really trying to do is to create a community of women who understand that they are imperfect, they are flawed. But in spite of those imperfections, in spite of those flaws, they are still able to go out there and make an impact on this earth. Together, I want to help them to be encouraged and inspired to not wait until they're ready or until they feel like they're ready, but to go out there as they are right now and start putting in the work. Because many of us, we feel like we have to get to a certain point in our lives before we can be qualified enough to help other people. But my community is all about starting the work right now, start helping other people right now. If it is that you have a kind word, say it right now. If you have a prayer, pray right now. Don't wait until you are feeling like, oh, I'm ready enough. No, sometimes you will never, and most of the times you will never ever feel ready enough. But that's why we need each other, because each of us can help each other to grow. Together we can flourish. Together we can become better than we were yesterday. This whole community is all about just really teaching us and teaching each other that we need the grace of God. We need community. We need to be a force that will be there to impact other people's lives. Like for me, I don't have my life all figured out. Things are not perfect by any means necessary. I fall down every single day. I break my feet. I fall short every single day, but I can still help other people throughout the lesson that I have learned. Like I have learned many lessons in my life, and even though I haven't learned everything I think I will ever need to learn, the lessons I already have in my bank account, I can help other people who are a few steps behind me. So the whole point is to help people who are a few steps behind you to get to where you are, and then somebody else can help you to move forward, and you can just keep making that forward progression. It's all about doing the work while you're being worked on. Does that make sense?
It does. And I love that because, like you were saying, it really, you can't wait until you're at this dark point. You can't wait until you're at your last helping. You can't wait until you need that lending hand. It's progress, really, not that perfection. And really, just as long as you're working towards yourself every day, you're taking that next step forward, which is so important, rather than waiting until you need all the help in the world, all the support in the world. And oftentimes for people, that is what happens, is kind of when, they get into this rut, when they get into this mess, it's often just a cycle, and they're not able to kind of just pick themselves up out of that scenario, as well as if, they had this community or the support system, as you're saying. And, for someone who may be in this mess, maybe in a dark place, maybe by themselves, what message do you send to any of, the people that you're aiming for your community, any women out there? What is your message towards them if they're in a dark place and you're trying to, bring them into your community, bring them into just wanting to seek out that change within their life?
I want to tell them that I know right now you might be sitting in a corner, you might be thinking about all the mistakes you've made, all the bad roads you've traveled, all the things you've done wrong. But I'm here to tell you, as somebody who has been in that very same corner, that you are never too anything for God to use you. You are never too anything to change your life. You are never too stupid, too ugly, too far gone, too messed up, too wild, too perfect, too flawed, too anything to change your life. And right now, where you are right now, you are in the best position to look up and change your life. When you are at your lowest, you are in the best position. When you're on your back, burdened down by the weight of all that you have done in your life, all that you've gone through, you are in the best position to turn around, look up and see God and see Him change your life. Trust me when I say, as proof of somebody who has tried to kill herself 3 different times, You are never too far gone for your life to change. And when you decide to change your life, trust me, it will happen. You just need to decide.
Powerful, Dana. I love the theme that you're really bringing up throughout this conversation that, you said, I want to help others who I'm a few steps ahead of. So you really want to carry these people through things that you've experienced or maybe people within your community have experienced. And I think that's why, you know, all of this is so powerful, whether it's podcasting, storytelling, whether it's just having a friend who's experienced something similar to yourself. It shows how impactful you can really create meaning within a relationship, within a connection. And for a lot of people, they look up to others who've experienced something similar in order to say, all right, this person made that change within their life and they were able to undergo what I did, so I can be that same, that same role model for maybe someone else. I can make that change within my life. And I think you're such a important figure for many of these women within this community. You're creating such a powerful message for many out there. And I want to know, for you, when you were facing some of these challenges, was there someone out there, was there someone that you looked up to that maybe provide some spark of inspiration, or maybe just provided some sense of hope that you'd be able to get through your own experiences?
When I was going through my mess, when I was at my darkest place, I didn't feel like there was anyone there who I could look up to. But looking back now, I can see that I had many different sisters who were there, and they're not sisters by blood. They're sisters just by being there for me. And I could see that in their life, in their eyes when they spoke, there was such a strength that they spoke with that I wanted that strength. I wanted to know, how did they become that person? How did they get to that place? And as weak as I was, as much of a victim as I felt, I wanted to somehow get to that place where I could speak and speak with conviction, where I could speak and inspire thousands, millions to change their lives. I wanted to become that strong woman that I always dreamed I could become, because from when I was very young, I felt like there was something out there for me. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know who I was supposed to be, but I knew there was something there. And when I saw these women and I saw how they spoke and I saw how they handled circumstances, how they handled disappointments, how they handled arguments with their husbands, how they handled just life, it made me want to be like them. And one of the best examples I have of strength is my mom. My mom has gone through so much. She has been through some incredible ups and downs in her life, but she always remained strong. She always remained focused. She always let me know that, you know what, the worst point in your life is only one point. You have so many other days to experience. Even the worst 24 hours of your life, they're just 24 hours. You still have tons of days to experience. So never let this temporary experience right now change your entire life. And as remembering those words, remembering who she is and who she wanted me to be, helped me to become the person I am today.
Thank you for sharing that, Dana. I really appreciate that. And I think that, you know, provides a lot of, reflection based on what's really been a powerful role model for yourself, and also shows how you've been able to mold yourself into a similar role model for many people within your own community and, your community to come. There's still so much growth to be had. And I think, what you're doing now is just such a small imprint into what you will continue to do in the future. And it's such a pleasure to learn a little bit about that. And I think this part one was a good kind of example and reference in terms of what you're doing now, in terms of, just the storyline, what you've been able to overcome, and what your podcast is. And I think this is a good representation of part one of this episode. And for anybody interested to learn more, please tune in to part two of this episode, and we'll be speaking about how to build self-confidence even when your life is in a mess. And Daeyna will speak more about her own insights through her own experiences, as well as the insights that she's speaking with her guests on her podcast. So within this, you can check out Daeyna's website for her podcast at sheisam.com, and be sure to tune into this next episode to hear more about how to build self-confidence if you are experiencing a mess, a rut within your life. So thank you all for listening for season 2, episode number 12 with Daeyna Jackson. Daeyna, thank you for being here on this episode.
You are so welcome. I am super excited and happy to just be here to talk and to just share. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for listening to today's episode of the Mental Insights Podcast. Make sure to reach out to today's guest or myself if you need any advice, guidance, or support in your life today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and review to this podcast so we know what you thought of this episode. I look forward to being in touch with you all in the next episode. I hope you all have a wonderful day.